This diagram is called linking processes to organizational strategy. In simple terms, it's about linking HR processes to organizational strategy. It's not just about competency. It describes a logical chain. You can see that step one, strategy to organization, to people, to assessment, to development and succession. So we'll start from the top, mission. Step one, agree on the organization's mission. The organization has to be aligned on its mission. The fundamental question is, why do we exist? If the mission is not clear, everything below it becomes vague. Step two, specify the organization strategy. This means making the strategy concrete. For example, we are pursuing cost leadership, differentiation, international expansion, premium service positioning. Different strategies require different competencies. Step three, decide the organization to deliver the strategy. This is the part many HR professionals overlook. Strategy does not execute itself. You need an organizational structure to make it work. For example, if the strategy is innovation, the structure must be flexible with fewer layers. If the strategy is cost control, the structure must be standardized and tightly managed. In other words, strategy determines organizational design. Only after the organization is designed, we move to step four. So the next step is specify the competencies and technical skills required for high performance at different levels and for specific jobs. This is where competency mapping actually appears. It is not the first step. It is the result of mission, strategy, and organizational structure. And one important point, competencies must differ by level, and they must differ by job. There is no such thing as one competency framework for everyone in a company. And next, we can see there's two branches. Branch 1, design and operate assessment procedures. The objective is to determine whether a person has the competencies required for their current job and whether they have the potential to move into higher roles. So competencies are not only for recruitment, they are also for evaluating potential. There are actually two types of arrows. We can see that this one and the upward one. So the first, the downward arrows, the design flow, mission, strategy, organization design, competencies, assessment and development to career and succession. This is the design logic. The second arrow is the feedback arrows. You can see the arrow from assessment going to back up to mission and strategy. This is the validation and adjustment logic. Why does assessment go back up to mission and strategy? You know that the assessment block clearly states design and operate assessment procedures to determine whether people have the attributes to the immediate job and the potential and aspiration to perform in higher jobs. The assessment helps the organization answer two big questions. Question one, do our current people have what it takes to run the system? If not, the issue may not simply be weak employees, but it could be a flawed competency model, misaligned training focus, incorrect recruitment criteria, etc. There are many reasons. The second question is more important. Do our current people have what it takes to execute the strategy? This is where the feedback loop matters. For example, a company claims its strategy is customer centric, but assessment shows that most frontline employees lack a service mindset and don't even want to work in service. Then the real question becomes, is this strategy feasible with the current workforce? Another example, a company wants to expand internationally, but assessment shows that management pipeline lacks cross-cultural leadership capability, has weak language skills, and low aspiration for global mobility. In that case, training alone may not be enough. The company may need to adjust the timing of the strategy, redesign the organization, recruit talents, or change the talent structure. In other words, assessment provides real data to challenge strategy. The deeper message of the diagram is strategy is not just something handed down from the top. Leadership may define the mission and strategy. Agile may translate them into competencies. But assessment is what tells the truth. With this workforce, can we actually execute this strategy? And if the answer is no, there are two options: build people through development, hiring, and investment, or adjust the strategy and redesign the organization to fit reality. That is why the assessment aroused got back up. And we can see that the brand two, design, operate, development, and training systems. If assessment identifies a competency gap, training is used to close that gap. This is the connection between competency model and training system. If you don't have a clear competency framework, training becomes random and unfocused. Final point, career path and succession planning. Both assessment and development eventually lead to career path and planning and succession planning. This answer questions like who is ready for promotion, who is the successor, who needs further development. This diagram communicates something very important. Competency mapping does not stand alone. It is the central link between strategy and the HR system. What is the most powerful idea in this diagram that I realized? For me, the most powerful idea is this. It forces HR to think top down logically. Instead of asking, how should we build a competency framework? We should first ask, what is the company strategy? What is the people strategy? How is the organization designed? What competencies do people need to execute that strategy? If we ignore the strategic layer at the top, competency mapping becomes just a beautiful dictionary of behaviors, but practically useless.